Hey, got something really cool I wanted to run by and let you know what's going on. So I'm starting a group that will start taking a deep dive into each one of these episodes. So we'll collectively come together and talk about the shows, talk about the guests. I'll be bringing back some of the guests to do some Q&A sessions and really take a further dive into their story, their journey, the episode, talk about, maybe some of the things you wish I would have asked on the episodes, do some Q&A sessions and the like. As a friend put it to me, it's really like a book club, but for the podcast. So a couple times a week, we'll go in, we'll break down the favorite shows of the week, and have cool discussions around everything that we've heard, we've learned, and want to know about their journey. Some of these guests will come in and they'll teach part of, what makes them awesome at what they do. And then, as always, I'll be providing regular value and content in this group. It's really cool because this only is going to cost $5 a month to join this group. And you'll be able to come in, interact with everybody else in there. So I'll put a link right in the show notes for this that you can jump in, come have a conversation with us, and we will really deep dive into each one of these episodes and help us all rise up together. Thanks for tuning in, guys. It's going to be a great show today. Having the show wasn't something I started out to do. But the day I found out somebody wanted to really sponsor the show was a really, really cool experience. So, guys, I want you to take some time to go check out Point Blank Safety Services and their new nonprofit, Blue Family Fund. These guys are doing some really, really cool things. And Stacy McGovern, who's the CEO over there, has been a dear friend, and she was a guest on the show. But these guys are literally taking, the off-duty officers and putting them out in security guard role. And here's what's cool about it is, as they're protecting our lives, they don't make a whole lot of money in that regard. No first responders are paid for the value they provide for our safety and our health and taking care of us. So these guys, Stacy and her team over at Point Blank Safety Services have really found a cool way to give back to these officers by helping them provide an additional income so they can continue to support and protect us. So do me a favor, guys. Seriously, go check out pointblanksafety.com and then go look at their nonprofit, which is Blue Family Fund. Now, this nonprofit was created because of the success of Point Blank Safety Services. They wanted to give back to the families of fallen officers and be able to give scholarships away to the families of current, police officers. So do me a favor. It would mean the world to me if you would go out and help support this show by supporting Point Blank Safety Services and their nonprofit Blue Family Fund. Just tell them Donnie has sent you. You heard it on Donnie Success Champions, and Stacy will take a tremendous and amazing care of you. Thanks, guys. Bringing in Andrea, and she's going to walk us through the world of virtual assistants. She's going to share her journey about how she stumbled into becoming a virtual assistant, and then how she survived 10 years being an outsourced virtual assistant for people. It's a really, really fun insight on what you should look for if you're going to look at hiring a virtual assistant, or if you want to be a virtual assistant. So enjoy this story, guys. Enjoy this journey. It's going to be a good one. Hey guys, this is going to be a fun episode today. I'm bringing in Miss Andrea Rozman, and looking at her story, this is going to be a fun one. So Miss Andrea, welcome to the show, darling. I really appreciate you coming on here. Please tell us your story, tell us your journey.
Well, thanks so much for having me. My story, I don't know. It doesn't seem, from my view, it's just like, I'm just living life. But the short and sweet story, I was a cube farm worker. I did my stint in corporate America, and when the economy started tanking, I lost my job. I had a really good job, and then I lost it. And then a series of weird things happened where you have to move because you don't have a job, and all sorts of strange things happen. You go from job to job, and you're cube farming, and it's like, well, I guess this is just the life I'm going to have. And then, the economy gives you one more slap in the face and says, no, you don't have a job. So I'm sitting at home going, well, I got to do something. I applied for jobs. I can't tell you, hundreds of jobs. I've had so many applications. I probably applied to every company in Michigan. And one day I was sitting there going, I really need to just keep my skills up, because as the weeks go by, you watch a lot of TV and your brain floats away. So I said, maybe there's something I can do online. And I found this company in Australia, actually, just a husband and wife, and they wanted somebody to record and type up meeting minutes for them. It was once a week, nothing spectacular, but it was something to do. And so I did it. And then somebody else came in contact with me and said, hey, could you do X for us? And I'm, well, sure, why not? And after a while, I'm thinking, this isn't a job. This is I'm just doing this stuff at home. I still have to go out and get a real job. And I started doing more work. And then I thought, oh my gosh, this is a real job. And it has grown into, I didn't even know what a virtual assistant was. I had no clue. And nowadays, when you hear about it, we're talking about Siri and Alexa. And so it's kind of a whole new meaning. But for the virtual assistant person, it is helping. I help other people. That's the short and sweet of it. I went from corporate America to running this business where I help people all over the world do all sorts of neat business and not business things as well.
Dude, I love this. I love this. To me, this is the best kind of stories, because so you take somebody that you were working in corporate America, working in the cube farms, cubicle nation, whatever you want to call it. And get laid off when the economy take a turn. Then you get punched in the face, with life, because you can't find another job. And in between episodes of Days of Our Lives and Price is Right, I had to think what else played during the day.
That's right, and that's what I was watching.
You jump online. How did you find this couple in Australia? Did you...
I don't know. That was it was a little over 10 years ago.
So you've slept since then.
Yeah. It just sort of happened. I think I was probably looking for, you do a Google search, jobs online or whatever. And now it's a lot easier to find virtual work. It's everywhere.
Right.
Back then, I just sort of luck. It's all, I call it a happy accident. My whole life for the past 10 years, it's been one big happy accident.
So when you write your book, that's the title of it.
It could be, yeah, I think so.
That's awesome. And you stumble into taking minutes from meetings, which is not a very exciting, thrilling thing, but it paid.
Exactly. And it really wasn't about how much I was getting paid. It was just something to do. And that's how everything I do now is all sorts of little things for businesses that they shouldn't do. Business owners should not have to take meeting minutes. They shouldn't have to be doing their social media posting. They shouldn't have to follow up on an invoice. They need to be working on the big picture. I take care of all the little things. In corporate America, I worked in IT. I was in project management. So I'm all about keeping that flow going and making sure everything gets done and all the little micro tasks. So what I do now is really natural. I like doing a lot of different things for a lot of different people. It's second nature to me.
Well, and it takes a special type of person like you, that can pull that off, because I couldn't do it. There's no way I'm going to do all these different mundane tasks. I would absolutely hire somebody to do all those mundane tasks.
Right. And it's funny, a lot of people I talk to, when they ask me what I do, I tell them, they all say, I couldn't do that. And I've had people work for me that just had to stop. This is not an easy job. You have to work from home, and many people can't do that. It sounds fantastic, and for me it is, but you have to be really comfortable being alone for long, long periods of when my husband goes to work and my son goes to school, I'm home for the 7 or 8 hours alone. And most of my clients I never actually speak with. It's all through email. So you have to be really comfortable with that. You have to be really aggressive on your schedule and knowing what you want to do and how you're going to plan out your day, especially when you have 5 people handing you 5 different tasks.
Right.
So you have to be really organized and you have to be proactive. Price is Right is in the other room with the TV.
Well, see, that's why I struggle. I mean, right now I record all my podcast over at my parents' farm, not on my farm, because at my farm there's distractions.
Right.
Whether it's the TV or I've got the animals to take care of, land to take care of. I mean, there's stuff to do, and the stuff to do is more fun sometimes than the mundane things you need to be doing. I mean, come on, a good episode of Price is Right is still Price is Right.
Right. Yeah, it's hard. This isn't for everyone, but that's okay. Everyone else should be doing what's best for them.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. So how long have you been doing this for 10 years now?
Yep, 10 years and 2 or 3 months or something like that.
So growing up, when your third grade teacher said, what do you want to be when you grow up, you raised your hand and said, I want to be a virtual assistant.
I raised my hand and said, I'm going to be president of the United States. That was my third grade answer, yes.
How's that going?
Think about it from time to time. But, I've got other things going on.
I wouldn't want that stress. That's awesome. So you started up your first clients overseas. So I'm assuming you're working with people all over the world.
Right now, my client base is all here in America, but I've worked Australia, Scotland, England, Peru, Canada.
All the places you want to visit.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Right.
But so whenever anybody contacts me, I'm, happy to help.
No, that's awesome. So walk me through some of the type of things that you do as a virtual assistant. I mean, I have a couple of virtual assistants, and they're all specialty niche. So I have one that handles marketing, one that handles social stuff, one that handles my podcast stuff. So walk me through your world.
It depends. I have supported a wide variety of clients, digital marketers to photographers, musicians to life coaches, lawyers to investment bankers. And everybody needs something different. I do social media posting. I do podcast transcription. I do research. I do customer service. I do invoicing. One time, this is several years ago, I had a headhunter for a client, and he was so busy with his business that he didn't have time for dating, so I monitored his dating profile. And then that's the thing, I'm working
So hold on, I can't let that one pass. So help me out here. So you got a guy, you're monitoring his dating profile. What are you doing? Going through and saying, she's cute, she's ugly, she's cute, and then giving him like a rundown?
Well, I would go, he gave me all his logins, and I would look at, something, and look for people that would sync up to what he was, interested in, and just send a message and see if you get a response, and then he'd take it from there.
Did he want like a brunette, a blonde? I mean, did he?
I don't think that mattered, and really, after a while, what I was looking for him was not what he was looking for him. Because I'm looking for someone, you need somebody that you can work with professionally, and you want long-term relationship wife material, and he's looking for, I just want to go out and date people. So kind of hard to sync up sometimes.
So you were trying to get him to grow up, and he was like, no, I'm still playing in life.
Yeah, I think so.
That's awesome. I've never heard of a VA doing that. That's fantastic.
One of the many millions of things that I've done for clients.
What are some of the other crazy ones that you've done? I mean, that are just not the norm, off the walls. I had a VA for me that was finding speaking engagements, which was an interesting thing. So,
I've done that. I've gone through, for one of my digital marketing clients, he's actually a web designer. I would go through, he'd give me this huge list of websites. Go look at them and rate them. And like a 5 is they're fantastic. You don't even want to approach them. A 1 is their design looks like it's from 1996 and they need help. And then he knows who to approach and who not to.
Wait, was that a pay by the hour job?
Yeah.
Okay. How long could you milk that one for? I'm just saying. I mean, if I'm that person, I'm like.
Well, see, and that's a really good point. There, you have to find people that are really trustworthy to do this work. It all depends. Most of my jobs are hourly. However, if a client gives me a project, let's say it's a simple, here's 500 names, I want you to get their addresses. Okay, I know how, after all these years, I definitely know how long it's going to take me for each record, and I can give a flat rate price. Or if a client just says, spend 5 hours, that's nice and simple. I'm really flexible with how they want to do projects and pricing. So because I work with really like solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, very tiny businesses, I don't want to work with corporate, like major companies. I'm working with people that have tight budgets and need exact information as quickly and as affordably as possible. I get it. I'm a small business. So, I want, when I go to hire somebody, they better be doing a good job for me. And I expect the same out of me for my clients.
Right. How does the pricing strategy work? I mean, because I know there's a whole bunch of different ways to hire VAs. Some, are kind of a flat rate. Some are project-based.
Right.
Walk us through that.
Everyone tells me I'm doing it wrong.
Oh, all right.
So,
let me ask a question, though. You've been in business for 10 years?
Yes.
Tell everybody else to shut up.
Yeah, you know what? I don't really care. I'm doing it right for me and my clients. Right. I've had clients that I've had for almost 10 years. So I've got to be doing something right. I charge an hourly rate for most things. If you go to my website, my base rate is $20 an hour. And everyone tells me that is too cheap. Because if you look, a lot of VAs will start maybe 35, 45 and up. So I charge by the hour, and but that's what my clients can afford because they're small businesses, and I don't want them to be without help. And it works for me. I'm not going to be a millionaire, but I'm not complaining either. And then I'm literally by the hour. A lot of VAs, they'll do it's a 10-hour a month package for a flat rate. I don't do that. I don't want to do packages. Some people roll over hours. I don't want to do that. So everything that everybody else does, I'm completely not doing. And that's why everybody tells me I'm doing it wrong. Because everybody says, well, you should be making a lot more money if you do it like everybody else is. But that's not why I'm doing this.
So why do you think you go against the grain of what the common folk would tell you how you should run your business, because everybody else should have a say in how you run your business? I mean,
because I define success differently. Most people are defining success by the amount of dollars in their bank account and how much money they can get out of their clients. I'm not looking at it that way. I don't need to be a multi-billionaire with $500 an hour clients. It's not what I'm here for. I feel successful. I have gotten to stay home for the past 10 years and work from home. And when I don't feel like it, I can walk out the door into my yard, tend my garden. I can go out to lunch with my mom. I spent all of my son's elementary school days I lived at school. They should have had a cot for me there. Participating in the class, the PTA, volunteering, everything. I got to do that. That's awesome. No amount of money in the world can ever take the place of the time that I get to spend with my son and be at home and just do things with my family. So
that's beautiful.
I'm good with how things are. I'm not going to be the wealthiest VA in the world. That's all right. I don't care.
How many clients do you take on at a time?
However many I want to, I guess. Right now, active clients are, I want to say 6 or 7. I have a team. I have people that help me. When you grow after 10 years, you need help, and I desperately need help. So I've gotten team members to come along and join me so I can expand and grow into more clients. And when it gets to that breaking point where it's just like we're all at our max value, then I'll look for a new team member and we'll grow again. But a lot of my clients, some of them are daily. Some of them come around every, a month or so. Some clients I hear from every year, like clockwork. Hey, can you do this project? Sure. I'm okay with that. I'm really flexible with how people work because sometimes you just don't have the money to do a project until next year. And so call me then. I'm still going to be here.
That's so awesome. I mean, to me, that's the American dream, right? Is you've created the lifestyle that you want to live.
Yep.
You know, you're not living lifestyles of the rich and famous, right? But you're happy. I wish people could see the expression on your face of the joy when you talk about spending the time with your son. I mean, that's just an awesome
Best
thing.
time ever.
That really is a beautiful thing. Where's all this taking you? I mean, you're going to be 90 years old, living in a nursing home and still be a VA?
Well, it's funny because, I'm still growing. I'm still learning, even after 10 years. When I started it, I said in 5 years, I just want to manage this. I don't want to be doing all of the work. I'll bring in the clients and, make sure everybody on the team's doing what they need to be doing, but I want to sit back. So that was 10 years ago. That was my 5-year plan. And 5 years after that, I said the same thing. And today, 5 years from now, I'd still like to be doing that. I know I'm not going to do this forever. That's a tough decision. What do you do with your business once you want to do other things, or once you want to retire, or whatever? Do you sell it outright? Do you hand it off and maybe just take a percentage? Do you just say goodbye? Tell the clients you have 3 months to find new help and then you're gone. That's a tough decision. I don't know. Ideally, I think I'd like to hand it over to somebody else and let it keep going. But I don't know. That's one of those things you have to contemplate in the quiet of the night.
Or in the chaos with a good glass of wine. I mean, one way. What does your family think about this? I mean, mom's home all the time, or the wife's home all the time, bringing in good money. I mean, you got to be at this point with that many clients. I mean, you're living.
I
right?
can pay some bills,
Yeah. What's it like? Because there's also got to be some of that. Mom's not working your traditional 8 to 5 job, or my wife is not working, so I'm sure they catch some flack in some arenas from family or whatever else.
When I first started it, nobody really understood what I was doing.
Including yourself.
Except for me. I'm sort of. But it was sort of, what's that little thing you're doing? It wasn't serious, and nobody could really, because it's hard to understand. I don't go to an office. I have an office, but I don't go to it. But now this is just, it's natural. Prior to this, my husband and I always said one of us was going to stay home with our son. So there was always going to be a parent at home.
You won that one.
Yeah, well, at the time I was working, he was getting his master's degree, and then that was the first losing of my job. So, we moved and I was working and I lost my job again. So we swapped roles. He found a job and I was staying at home, and then this whole thing grew out of it. So it's really natural. They know when I have work to do, it's like, hey, I've got my housework and I've got my work. It's a very natural thing. They know when to leave me alone if I'm working, and they know when.
Well, I think that's just a guy's intuition with a woman, though. We know when to leave you alone. We know. We're not always great at it, but.
Yeah, I don't have any signs I put up. They just know.
She's in work mode.
Yep.
How long did it take for people to understand that this was your profession? I mean, because to put that in perspective, I mean, it's finally clicking in the back of my head. VAs weren't really around 10 years ago. I could see how people looked at it like, what the hell is she doing? How long did it take for people to start understand that, holy cow, she's running a business?
I don't know. I would say at least 5 years, at least, and maybe even longer than that. And maybe some people still don't get it. And that's okay. It's kind of hard to explain. It's like when people ask me, well, what do you do? Well, I help people. That's the short answer. I help even better, I help small businesses. I just do it from my home.
How did you find the mental fortitude to handle that? Because that's 5 years of naysayers, if you will.
Yes. And you have to be really strong. And I think that goes true for any business. When somebody starts a business, why are you doing it? It's easier to get a job. I can go out right now and get a great job. I still get contract houses contacting me for jobs that are all over the area. That's easy. It's really hard to start a business. It's really hard to be a small business that you are literally, you start from not knowing anything from the ground up. And have I had times where I'm just going to quit? You bet. Absolutely. Who doesn't? There are days, especially in the beginning when, you've got a lot of work, then all of a sudden it's dead. There's nothing coming in. It's like, I'll just quit this. This is stupid. I don't know what I'm doing. I've ruined everything. I'll just go back and sit at a desk in an office where, somebody writes my paycheck, somebody gives me my coffee and tells me when I can come and go, and all will be well. And that's easy, but I did that, and I don't want to do that anymore.
I think a lot of people get that experience of once they go out on their own. And I hate saying the freedoms that come with that, because I don't want people to think that starting your own business, whatever, gives you the ability to not work. That's all I mean. But it gives you the choice to pick the hours you want to work.
Yeah.
You're still going to work 90 hours a freaking week.
You're going to work double.
Yeah. You just get to pick which 90 hours you want to work, right?
Yeah.
Along with that freedom. But once you've gotten to that level of not having to report to somebody, not having somebody to, it's very hard to go back to that world and that lifestyle.
Right. Yeah, I don't think I can. I mean, if I had to, my husband lost his job, and I would straight back in there, because that's what you have to do. And in any job, in any business, you do what you have to do to take care of yourself and your family. And right now, this affords me the ability to take care of my family in a way that I'm here financially. It's not a big deal. I'm here emotionally. I'm here if somebody needs me. I can't tell you how many, trips to the school, or, hey, can you come pick me up, or whatever that I've been able to make I'm the boss. So I just tell myself, hey, I'm cutting out for a few hours.
I do that too. I'm like, you know what, honey, we're going to go on vacation. Hold on. Let me check with my boss. Boss.
Yep.
Yeah, that's so awesome. With some of the crazy jobs, crazy clients you've had, has there been things that you've said, no, you won't do?
I haven't had anything so bizarre that I would say no to. I have said no to a few clients for work. Not only is this job hard, it's hard to be a business owner working with a VA, and not everybody can have a virtual help. Some people need somebody in office. You can't be a micromanager and hire a virtual assistant. It's just not going to happen. If you feel the need to hover over somebody's shoulder and, you need to walk by a desk and make sure they're working, don't do it. I've had a couple clients actually where it's just, we start up, but I stop it immediately. I've told one client it was just too confusing. The work, I don't know how to explain it. It's more like a client would say, here, I need this done. No, wait, I need this done. No, wait. Let me, and I'm just like, until you're ready, I can't help you.
Yeah. From my experience, the first time I hired a VA, I ended the relationship pretty quickly, but it was 100% my fault. And what I found is I wasn't prepared to work with a virtual assistant.
Right.
Is I couldn't explain to her exactly what I needed her to do. Right. And that was not proper on it. So, I mean, we're still great friends and still talk. She was local to my area, but I couldn't be in a position where I needed her to do things, but I couldn't tell her exactly what I needed done. When you're working with a VA, you've got to go into that situation being a business owner, knowing exactly what you need them to do.
Yes. And that's hard. And when you're overwhelmed as an owner, then you've got a whole new set of problems. One client I had, he wanted travel. He set up travel from New York to, I think, Mexico. It's an easy statement. Get me a flight from New York to Mexico on, from this date to this date. That seems simple, but that comes with like 100 questions. Do you prefer a specific airline? Do you want to fly first class or business or coach? If there's a meal on the plane, do you have allergies?
Window seat, aisle seat, close to the bathroom, exit row.
The airplane. When you get to your destination, do you have somebody picking you up? Or will you need a taxi or an Uber or whatever? Do you need to stay at a 5-star hotel or a Super 8 okay for you? There's like a million questions, and you have to be prepared as an owner. When you assign a task, you have to be prepared to give somebody a chance to ask all the questions, to fill it in. And once those questions are answered, then the 75 other trips you're going to take, those are all answered because they know. And my client, he just wasn't ready. He was so overwhelmed with work that he couldn't answer the questions and ended the relationship because of it. And it's like, I get it. It's really hard to hand off work because you just can't hand it off. You have to hand it off and train somebody.
Right.
And then it's good to go. But that's a struggle.
Yeah, my favorite VA I work with right now is the guy who handles all the editing for my podcast. And we've got such a relationship that I can literally just record the episodes, put it in a Dropbox folder, and he handles everything else from there. I mean, it's beautiful. But when we first started working together, I'm like, this is what I want done. And we spent, a couple of different phone calls back and forth figuring out that magic combination, because truly a VA should be able to get to that level where they're taking it completely off your plate.
That's what's supposed to happen.
But I've been in situations with one VA that I worked with that was out of country. That one didn't last very long, simply because there was too much of a time gap to have conversations and handle everything else. So, what are some of the biggest things that people should know before they hire a virtual assistant?
Well, as I said, if you're a micromanager, don't do it. You can't look over.
Don't you find, though, that people that are micromanagers don't know they're micromanagers?
Sometimes, but I think if you are in tune to yourself, that
right.
You're just going to be picking at everything, that you're not going to be able to work with somebody virtually. Even though technology-wise, we can share screens and video chat, and it's practically like they're there, but some people need that walk by. You do the flyby to make sure that everything's going okay. That's a really big thing. And I think the only other huge item is paying. It's monetary thing. Oh, it's too expensive. If you could give away 5 hours of your time a month, how much is that? How valuable is that? That you can just say, here's 5 hours. Please take this burden off of me so that I can concentrate. How many clients could you gain in 5 hours? You go to a speaking event because you don't have that burden of 5 hours of having to type in names or do research or do little odds and ends that just build up. That's the real value.
Well, and I get it because
to trade that.
Yeah, I mean, to put that in perspective is, I do all my podcast recordings on Fridays, and for the first 10 episodes, I did all the editing on the back end.
Right.
So not only was I spending an hour with each person doing an interview to get down to a 45-minute, 35-minute, podcast, then I was spending 2 hours to do all the editing, to pull out all the ums and, all of that stuff. So one podcast was taking me 3 to 4 hours to produce.
Right.
And, by simply bringing on Joe, who handles all my editing, I mean, now I just spend one day doing the podcast and Joe handles everything else. I mean, it freed up days worth of work for me to do that. So I look at VAs is, what are those tasks that you hate to do?
Yes.
Right? What are those projects that if you could get off your plate would allow you to go grow your business? Those are the things you got to be outsourcing.
Yes, absolutely.
And for me is your job as an owner of a company is to go grow your business.
Yes.
Like not sitting there in the back doing operational type things. As you're growing this business and you're contemplating what you're going to do with it in the future, whether you sell it, whether you trade it off, I'm going to tell you to sell it. That way you can continue to live the lifestyle you want to live.
Yeah.
Right? And get some walk-away money from the whole thing. As you're building all the way up, do you see yourself scaling up to 20 to 40 VAs and really growing a bigger business? Or is there going to be a level that you get to, you're like, okay, that's big enough?
I think personally that's big enough level. I don't want it ever to be so big that it becomes a big business. That's sort of a weird thing to say, it should always feel small and personal. And I don't know if it was 40 or 50 or 60 people, if I would feel that way. And since this is my baby, I need to make sure I'm raising my baby properly. And,
right.
so I don't think I've ever imagined it being big in that. I don't know. It's something interesting to think about. I could see like maybe 10, 15 people on the team and call it good. But if I get there, great. I don't think I've ever aggressively been to the point where I want to have a huge team. I want to focus on my client. And that's probably a good business problem. I focus more on my clients than my own business.
Oh, that's lousy. You should never do that.
I know.
That's awesome. Do you think your son's going to follow in your footsteps and jump in and be? No. What's he going to do?
Well, he's a musician. He's 15.
So he's one of those people. No.
He's an amazing guitarist and 8 million other musical instruments. He might go into law, some kind of business. I don't know. He can do whatever he wants.
Still figuring it out, huh?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Awesome. It's cool. You've created a life that you can spend some time with him as he's gone on his journey as well. So
yeah,
I'm sure you're probably that crazy screaming mom at whatever he does.
I try not to embarrass him too much.
Well, but you're a mom. That's your prerogative, right?
I know.
Nice. Well, I got to tell you, it's been fun having you on the show. Some of these episodes, I never know what I'm going to get, as far as hearing people's journey. But thank you for giving us a cool insight into the virtual assistant world. I mean, that's something that's becoming a hell of a lot more prevalent in our society right now as this whole gig economy, as they keep calling it, comes to fruition, and more people are getting creative of how they're making income or how their businesses. I mean, hell, I'm contemplating turning this podcast into my full-time gig.
Absolutely.
So just fun. So thank you so much for coming in and sharing your journey and everything else. I really appreciate it. But I'm going to put you on the spot, and this is how I end every podcast. So be forewarned. I do stump some people. This is always fun for me. So if you were going to give my listeners a phrase, a statement, a quote, something they could take with them on their journey. So as they're going through life and they get stacked up against it, maybe something they can pull out of their tool belt and they can use, what would you say?
Well, I'd always say define your own success.
Oh, I love
Don't let other people do it for you.
Love
That's it.
I'm going to get that put on a shirt.
Yeah.
Find your own success. I love it. Well, girl, how does everybody get in touch with you?
They can jump on the internet and find me at your-gal-friday.com, and I'm on Facebook.
I love that. Your Gal Friday. So your-gal-friday.com?
Yep.
Oh, that's awesome. And you're on Facebook, LinkedIn, and everything else?
Yep, I'm everywhere.
That's so awesome. So, guys, if you're looking for a badass virtual assistant that can take the things off your plate, that allow you to go run your business, look up Your Gal Friday. That's an awesome, awesome name. So, Andrea, thank you so much for being on the show, girl. Keep living your journey, and thank you for sharing it with us.
Thanks so much, Donnie. I appreciate you having me.
You know what, guys? Really, thank you for listening to this episode. I really appreciate it. It's a lot of fun putting these together. I wanted to make sure before we get out of here that you knew what we were doing with social content. What we found was because of the podcast, we have a unique way of helping you get your social content out on a very easy way. What we're doing is we're interviewing people. And from that interview, we will capture a lot of information that will then be turned into videos, memes, articles, all things you can use for your social content. I know, like for me, one of the biggest struggles I had was, what do I put out there? What do I say on a regular basis? Well, we'll help do all that for you. So if this is at all of interest to you, reach out to us and let us help you grow your social media channel. I can tell you I did this for my business, and my social media is completely taking off. My Instagram, since I started doing this, jumped over 10,000 followers, and it continues to grow. So if this is at all of interest to you, check the bottom of the show notes for the link that says, "Get my social content done right now."